Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar where we will explore three types of AI that will elevate your contact center quality with Salesforce and Leaptree. My name is Mackenzie Puttasi with SmartBrief, a future B2B company, and I'm excited to be your moderator for today's webinar. As many of you in the audience likely know and are experiencing, contact centers are under pressure to deliver higher quality interactions while doing more with less, which is where AI comes in. AI is the key to making that happen. And during this session, we are going to be exploring three types of AI every contact center leader needs to know: predictive AI, generative AI, and autonomous AI. And we're going to talk about how each one plays a unique role in improving quality assurance. More specifically, we're going to dig into how predictive AI can help you automate the quality scoring process, how Gen AI can provide accurate agent feedback, and how autonomous AI can take action in real time to ensure dynamic and appropriate training programs are actioned, and how all of these innovations can elevate your CX QA strategy from reactive to proactive and beyond. As you can tell, we have a lot to cover today, and I cannot wait to get started. So I'm just going to go over a little bit of housekeeping and introduction points with you to make sure you all get the most out of today's webinar. Now, first and foremost, introductions are in order. As I said, my name is Mackenzie. Excited to be here hosting this webinar for you or with you. We do have some highs, hellos, good mornings, good afternoons that have started to pop up in the chat tab. But if you have not yet found that chat tab and you want to give a quick hi, hello, hola, bonjour, whatever greeting you want to throw in there, pop that in the chat tab on the right. We've got Jorge in from Texas. We've got California, Virginia, Oregon, Daniel from Denver. We've got Kentucky, some more Californians in the house. Welcome, welcome. Liara from Seattle. Enza from Montreal, welcome and hello. Dan from Minnesota, hey there, Dan, welcome. We've got Dennis from Carlsbad, California. Awesome. So feel free to keep those highs and hellos coming in. This chat tab is exactly where you can share your excitement, thoughts, ideas, stories, personal anecdotes, anything you like throughout the session. We love to hear from you and see how this is resonating and what you're thinking and feeling throughout the webinar. Now, this is also the perfect place to let us know if you have any technical issues during the session. Of course, we hope that doesn't happen, but if you're not seeing slides, audio, the video feeds aren't coming through or syncing up, well, first try a quick browser refresh. That usually does help with any of those issues. But if not, myself and Jordan, who's our webinar coordinator, running things smoothly here in the background, will be here to help troubleshoot. So just shoot us a message in the chat tab if you need to. A couple other things, we do have closed captions available. You can toggle those on by hovering over your viewport, and in the bottom right, you'll see those, and they're offered in a bunch of different languages. Of course, they are AI generated, so they're pretty darn good, but I cannot guarantee 100% accuracy. And lastly, we do have a light mode, so if you're having some limited connectivity or bandwidth issues, you can toggle that on as well. Now we are going to have a live Q&A session here with our expert presenter, which is one of the best things about these sessions is we're able to pick the brains of those in the know here live on the webinar. So please don't put those in the chat tab as they may get lost, whereas the Q&A is the perfect place to throw all your questions, and we're going to keep an eye on those throughout the presentation and try to voice as many of those with the time we've got allotted for that today. Finally, in the Docs tab, you've got a follow-up link here from Leaptree to book your free AI consultation. We're going to dig into that a little bit more later, but just know that that's in there as a resource if you want to take some next steps and dive in, and that's an exciting way to do that. Finally, we're giving away a ton of great information today, but we also have a giveaway of a $250 Amazon gift card up for grabs. You do need to be live and present on the session today to qualify for the prize, and you do need to meet the prize terms and conditions, also there in the Q&A tab. But other than that, I think it is time to get started, and I don't want to waste any time. I'm excited to have our speaker up here with us. So please help me in welcoming to the stage Neil Young. He is the CEO of Leaptree. And well, Neil, I am going to be joining him for Q&A in a little bit or on the other side of this. But until then, welcome to the stage and take it away.
Great, thanks, Mackenzie. So yeah, just to get started, just give you a little bit about Leaptree. Well, Leaptree Optimize, a core product in the CX landscape, core features in there: quality management, training and development, performance management, gamification. So very much CX quality assurance, powered by AI, and we're 100% built for the Salesforce platform. So that's very much the technology stack and how we approach it. If I then talk about, quality assurance, CX that we mentioned in a CRM landscape such as Salesforce, and adding AI to that, when we speak to our customers, we spoke to them in this last summer, very much there's a key theme there, which was do more with less. So they're talking about what were the top three things that came back. They wanted to increase CX quality assurance coverage. They wanted to reduce QA evaluator workload, and by those two elements really drive the improvement of the call center performance. And very much on either a national or a global landscape, they wanted to standardize those approaches. So there's quite a lot to do there. That's what they see where AI can bring them. And then they're very interested in the techniques and approaches within AI that can help them. So we're going to talk about quite a bit of that today. Also, when we spoke to our customers with that cohort, they're very much interested in, well, when do you want to move forward with this? Are these longer tail projects, or is this more immediate? Uh, so 25% were like, we want to move within 3 months, so pretty much instantly. 75% in total wanted to move within the 12 months. So it's very much top of the agenda, uh, really keen for it. So yeah, I think today's webinar is very timely. So and just how from a high level, how to approach these projects, and just like one key insight that we would have is to approach it's AI models that you're building. So talk plural, and you're building it by each different interaction type. I got to give you an example here of a corporate travel company, and they have phone calls, web chats, and emails coming in for the three core services that they provide. So flights, car hire, and accommodation. And it's a one-stop shop. And it's, think of, how would you say, somebody's phoning in, their flight's been delayed, they want to see it, are there any other option. This is one of the services they provide. And the key element of this illustration is to understand when you start applying, if let's say this company today is running standard QA assessments on these different types of calls, web chats, and emails, and they're providing feedback to their agents in terms of how they're dealing with those interactions with their end customers, and they're assessing them and giving them feedback. When you start rolling this into an AI landscape, what's really important is that you're building an AI model by each interaction type. And what we mean by that is if they ring in and it's purely around a phone call, then that's one AI model. If they ring in and talk about car hire, then that's another AI model. So to be as specific as possible, if it's being routed through their IVR, being dealt with different ways with different teams, or it's just a specific type of use case that they're calling in for, that they are AI models that you build for each of them, and it's ongoing learning within those AI models. So I'm talking about 9 AI models on the screen that we have here. We could break that out by 5 regions, and then we'd have 45 AI models. So that's how you really drive the accuracy, not through one AI model that we can send all the data into and then it'll play back out the scores. That's not how you achieve the accuracy that you need. So when I take that and I bring it into the three key techniques, three types of AI that are very predominant today, I'm going to show examples of how each of these can impact CXQA programs. So number one is like predictive AI. So you're using historical data to recognize patterns over time that can influence results today. And we'll go through the depths of that. Talk about generative AI. So, I'd say a lot of people on the call are familiar with ChatGPT and those types of services. Um, they're obviously all generative AI, but we have very specific use case for generative AI today within CXQA. And then we also have some very good ideas for the future there. But we'll talk through some techniques that we believe will help in this landscape. And then we talk about autonomous AI performing tasks without human intervention. And then there's the risks and the governance that needs to go with that. And we're going to talk about some useful techniques in that, like, which is probably the ideal scenario to be, but there's a way of getting there. So if we move in to talk about predictive AI, and we think of all the different elements that can impact. So predictive AI is very much looking at, I'm going to take, so 500 evaluations have been conducted on a specific assessment within the last 6 months. So we have a buildup of data. We also have process documentation, PDFs, Word documents around this specific process that we're assessing. We also have customer interaction and previous scores that we're giving. We've got text from customers in the web chats, for example. We have previous scores, very important. Think of question tips. So question tips have been updated by the QA program manager in terms of, okay, if you're assessing this element of the engagement, here's a tip for you about when you're assessing that. Those question tips are really helpful. Then also think of feedback being passed back by the evaluators to the agents. If we're capturing, well, we scored you a yes on this value, but here's why we scored you yes on this value. We thought you did a really good job doing X, Y, and Z. Whether it's yes, no, or somewhat, or whatever that response is, and tying feedback comments to that to pass to the agents, this all helps the AI models. And then you think of calibration. QA calibration, when you look at, okay, so if I take some of our customers, they may have, 20 agents, 20 evaluators, sorry, 20 evaluators, and they are looking across, they might take five same cases from last month. And each of you are going to assess those cases and score those cases. And then we're going to bring you together and calibrate the results and see how each of you scored and see, ideally we want to see as much commonality as possible. But if there's any differences between the results, any deviations, we want to highlight them and see why Mary said it different to John, or why the answers were different. Those types of process again are really helpful for predictive AI. So we bring all of that data together, not just the scorecard results, bring all that data together for that specific assessment, and then feed the engine, feed the model. And again, as I said, this is ongoing learning. It doesn't just stop. So when you take that data and apply, I mean, the key outcome here is the scoring, is the automatic scoring of those assessments. So that's the ideal, that's the North Star we're looking for. So how do we get to this result? This question and specifically is around, did you have a timely and tailored greeting appropriate, and so on and so forth? Well, it turns out it wasn't applicable because the customer didn't want to engage that way and wanted to go straight to the issue, and they were coming back based on a previous issue that they had mentioned. So it was not applicable in this case. But it's understanding all those previous interaction points and data points to inform the present here. So how was this engagement? So this is what we're trying to achieve with predictive AI within this broader CXQA initiatives. A very good concept to think about would be what we call flagging or auto flag. And if I give an example of a customer that would have 100,000 interactions a month across email, web chat, phone calls. So they have 100,000 on average a month. 5% of them, so 5,000 interactions are being assessed by the QA team. That QA team may have a mix of team leaders and dedicated QA people. So they are processing those 5,000 manually. They implement, they say, well, what about the other 95% of cases of interactions that are happening last month? Are we really getting a true accurate reflection of the scenario, of the scores, of our quality standards? So with flagging and auto flag, that's very much, you can turn that on and say, okay, the 5% that we're running today through the standard evaluators, let's leave that. Now let's aim for full coverage. So let's get 95% additional coverage through flagging. And what that will do is look at cases where they've had problems before based on that previous data that we've fed into the model. And it will look for problem scenarios. And those problem scenarios, when they're flagged, will also explain what that reason for the flagging is. So for example, we think there's an issue with how the agent greeted the customer and their professional tone on the call. That's just one example that's been flagged. And what that's actually doing is looking around those 95,000 cases, interactions, and maybe it might identify an extra 1% that's going to be needing more evaluation. And it'll pass that extra 1% into the QA team. Now, what's happened is we've just increased the workload of the QA evaluators from 5,000 to 6,000 scorecards, but we've gained 100% coverage. Now, I'm using very straightforward calculation examples there. You may even be happy with getting 20% coverage from a 1% coverage rate today. So it's all depending on how you want to approach it. But just think of using that scenario whereby you're just asking uh, the engine, the AI model, to go out and find me problem scenarios that you think I should look at. And by the way, there's a confidence score that builds up with that over time. And then when you're applying that confidence score, saying, was this a case that was worth flagging to you? And you're saying yes, that's increasing the confidence score, that's feeding back to the AI model, and all of those things help with the broader program. Now, when we think another technique we think of is shadowing. So there's not many organizations willing to turn this straight on and go straight to auto QA. And or they might go to auto QA, but they may want to improve a workflow before it goes back out. And I'll come to that in a few minutes. Shadowing is something slightly different. So let's go back to the previous example of 100,000 interactions. 5% of them are going to be assessed by the team. But let's get the same 5% to be shadowed by the AI engine that we've implemented. So take the same 5%, the same cohort, and run shadowing against those interactions. And so basically what's happening here is going to score. So I'm going to dig into one evaluation, and I have, so X amount of questions on that evaluation. And the evaluator score is 95%, 95.4%. And the AI score was 92.8%. So the standard deviation is quite low. Okay, I think the AI engine is quite strong. Actually, there's one question here that we need to do more work within the AI model, and maybe some more information we can provide to make this bit more of a match, or maybe there's a reason why that match is out of sync, or maybe that's okay that that's out of sync. So shadowing just allows you to build up confidence in the AI models that are being built out before you actually turn that into full mode. Another technique, straightforward enough when you think of it, like in terms of routing, we have one customer it was like, okay, everything is going through the evaluators from the AI engine at the start, and thereafter we're going to roll down that percentage as we get more confidence. So uh, another scenario you could look at is in terms of, you might have decision logic. And in this scenario, you've got like 50%. So, if it's less than 50% of a score, I need it going to an evaluator. You might say, well, it's 70%. If it's less than 70%, I want to go to an actual QA evaluator before it passes that assessment back out to the agent. If it's a low score that's being passed to an agent, that's the scenario there. If it's a low score being passed to an agent, they may react differently to that as opposed to it coming from an evaluator. If it's a very high score, they're like, oh, I really like this AI engine. It's absolutely accurate. So there's an element of how you route the calls, how you route the assessments, how you want to approach that. And I think that needs to be given due consideration as you roll out each of these assessments. And it all depends on the different types of assessments, the different teams, but you want that routing engine in place that you can decide how you want to treat each of these assessments coming back from AI. So now just moving towards the generative AI aspect of these types of solutions. And we go back to the scenario at the very start where we were able to identify, well, we're going non-applicable for question number one in terms of that assessment. But why is it not applicable? So again, I go back to, we talk about high quality assessments data from the past, 500 plus, and we got QA calibration, and we have previous comments, and uh, how you say, question tips, and all this kind of good things helping us understand the detail, helping the model understand the detail. But you want to generate why not applicable is selected. So the action is triggered by not applicable being selected, and then generative AI comes in with presenting comments back from the AI engine why that was selected that way. Incredibly important, adds more depth to the solution, to gives more confidence to the agent as to, okay, I can really trust this. This is actually spot on in what it's providing me back. So yeah, we find the generative AI aspect in addition to the predictive AI aspect, is incredibly powerful. We also see, generative AI in the future. What other elements can that help with? And maybe there's generative content that it can impact around the content and the documentation, the learning content you have around the process also, and make recommendations. But even this as an initial key element is very strong. Then when we think about autonomous AI, we move into that. And this is really about AutoQ. I'm going to talk about a learning example as well, but just to start with the standard autonomous AI and CXQA, it's very much around AutoQA. So from cradle to grave, the calls, emails, web chats are coming in, and there's a portion of them, or the full amount, just AutoQA, automatically being managed. The trust is built up. We've had shadow mode. We've done routing through QA evaluators, and we're willing to maybe have an element of a mix here. So you see the example on the screen here with incoming phone calls. There's a 65.1% coverage. 39% of that is just being auto QA managed. Now there could be some routing involved in there. There could be, if less than 50% passed to a final QA review, but either way, that 39% is being auto QA'd, auto scored, and being ran. And as you can, and then live chats, the assessment above it there has 94% being managed through pure auto QA. So that's autonomous AI. That is, if you take out a review step, then you have from cradle to grave, from the interaction with the customer, right through to the assessment, right through the feedback coming to the agent. All of that is being processed with no human interaction. So we find that's incredibly encouraging, but we also see that this will be a mix in the future of how you want to guide it. Another example that we have around autonomous AI in this landscape is around there's a feature that we have recommended learning actions, but if I bring it up into the principle of it, it's very much around your training programs that you have that complement your quality assurance programs. So, a lot of our customers will have, if there's certain areas within that assessment, within that call center that they want to have a training program again. It could be like know your customer, or how you open a call, or so they have workshops, or they have content, or they have exams that you need to pass, online learning content. So whatever way they have that, and it can be a mix, that how can we bring that together? So we help them with this feature, which is very much, if we identify a trend, a downward trend over the last X amount of interactions. So in this example, over the last 3 interactions, there's been a downward trend. So we're recommending to the evaluator that they should assign this specific call opening workshop based on this specific question that they're after downgrading over time with. So it's quite clever in its own regard. But our view is that in the future, that this could be automated. So while you have your AI quality assurance program running through automation, you also have learning tasks being picked up that need to be, we're picking up that the scores have been low in this one section for the last 3 assessments, and we're going to automatically assign to that agent a learning initiative that they need to partake in. And this is just going to run in the background. We're going to give you full visibility of the metrics, but we're going to be running this as well as running the QA program, with the ultimate goal of improving the call center quality assurance performance. So yeah, when we think about bringing it all together, we think of an AI activation plan. We don't want to tackle all these processes at once. It's very rare that we just we're dealing with customers that they have one assessment type that's it's incredibly important. They normally have quite a few, some have 50 plus. So it all depends on their configuration, their setup. But what we do encourage, and this ties back to the start where we talked about the corporate travel company. Well, what we do encourage is that there's prioritization. You're identifying one key assessment type at the start. You want to make sure that assessment type, you're able to train AI. So you've conducted at least 500 high quality CX assessments by the personnel by the right people for this one type. And high quality means it includes calibration, includes the right documentation, all that good stuff that we talked about earlier on. Then we activate AI. And activating AI, again, you might think Am I shadow mode? Am I maybe flagging only the other, 50 or 95% that's outside my manual assessments? What does activate AI mean? And that's what we have within that. It's review and refine. So we might go shadow mode for standard support emails for the first 3 months, and then once the accuracy is 95%, 5% differentiator, I'm going to turn that on in full. So you review that. You're constantly reviewing how those numbers are looking, and then you're back to your phased rollout and looking at your next assessment type. So it's an ongoing initiative, but just to kind of take it one process at a time is really important. And we see it's very much a mix. So in this landscape, CXQA, CRM plus AI, you've got a mix. So our standard Leaptree optimized product is very much, structured assessments. So, data sampling engine, evaluator assessments. Now, when you move into auto flag, you're aiming for full data coverage with evaluator assessments. You've got machine learning enabled, you've got machine learning feedback, and then you're moving to full autonomous AI with auto QA, automated assessments, evaluator review options, shadow mode in that world as well. But maybe for certain cases within your business, let's say you've got a VIP stream, you might say, do you know what, I'm always going to have structured manual assessments for the VIP stream, and for standard support, I'm going to do auto QA across the board. But for support phone calls that come in, I'm going to do 5% with the team and 95% with auto flag, to see can I find the other 1-2% that I need to look at. So we really encourage that it will be a mix, it will be assessed, and that the power would be with you to decide how you approach each of those assessments. Yeah, great. And on that note, I'll just hand back to you, Mackenzie, and see do we have any interesting questions.
All righty, absolutely, Neil. We do have some exciting questions coming on in, so I'm gonna have you join us up here for Q&A because you're the star of the show here. So I'm gonna make sure you get on. Da, 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 da. Perfect. Welcome. All right. So I know we've got a few different questions that have come in, and I'm basically gonna pitch these to you and
No problem.
if you want to elaborate, if you want to add some color to these questions, please do. But the first one I've got in the queue is we currently use spreadsheets for our CX quality management program. Can I just switch up to an AI solution? Is it that easy?
Oh, very good. I wish, or we wish. Yeah, so the best mode, I suppose you have to train the models. So the first, like our baseline product, our standard product would have deals with standard QA in Salesforce. So what's that doing? That's doing data sampling. It's got manual QA evaluated humans evaluating the agents, and that software is up and running, and all it's going really, it's providing assessments back out to the agents. They have real time feedback, QA calibration. And so my recommendation is to obviously establish that kind of digital app, the digital technology in place. So from spreadsheets to the digital technology baseline. And then when you have those assessments built up in that technology, then you're adding, AI from my perspective is like an add-on. So then you're adding in the AI layer once you've established that baseline.
Okay, perfect. I like that. Yeah, so it's like AI can do the job, but it needs to know what to do. So
yes,
feed it the right.
exactly.
So this question came in from Steve pretty early on. He's asking, as AI takes on more autonomous roles, especially in compliance monitoring and agent feedback, how can contact centers ensure the models remain unbiased and fair? And there's a second part. What is the recommended strategy for maintaining human oversight and ethical governance of these AI systems?
Okay, very good. And part of the second part of that answers the first as well. So if going through what I was talking about there today, the human part is very much part of the process. So the shadow mode that we talk about, where there's oversight at the very start, or some of our customers talk about approving the work, approving AI will do the work, but then having full 100% manual assessments at the very start. So those kind of examples, I don't see, I think you always need that human governance. I think what might happen in the future as well is whereby when they turn on full auto QA and they stop the approval process, I think then what will happen is the human QA is going to QA the AI assessments. So, you do not want to lose that governance. The program as well is very important about how it's set up. So the QA program manager, their responsibility is actually going to increase, obviously, with the advent of AI. So there's an example that we've seen whereby if auto flag, for example, will go out, and we talked about looking at 95% of the other interactions on top of the 5% that have been done by the manual evaluators. And if it's going looking for red flags, but if you go and turn that to 100%, just go find me red flags. Well, what actually happens there is everybody just receives bad scores because they're looking at the worst interactions, presenting it back. The evaluators then assess them and provide the scores out, but there's no balance between, oh, you did a really good score, all you're coming back is bad scores, and feeding out bad scores to the agent. So I think that human governance, that element is really important, and that should not go away. It actually should increase. And then you're thinking about your policies and your SOPs of what you need to put in place by bringing AI in addition to the program to make it more efficient.
That's a good point. And so, as let's say we employ 5 agentic, QA agents, but then you have someone overseeing them, is it the policies that become harder to manage, or that you need to be more conscious of, or is it?
You need to ensure you're putting in the right review treat them as like employees. You're putting in the right review processes for those AI agents for sure.
All right. Excellent. Thank you. Okay, Paul shot in a question. He says, are there any underutilized AI features in tools or platforms that you expect to see implemented more intensively or creatively in contact centers in the next year or two?
Yeah, very good. I touched on this slightly in the when we were going through the detail there, but I think there's a real opportunity connecting QA for contact centers with learning management systems. So where the generative AI and where you're able to generate results and provide feedback as to why that's this answer was selected. We selected not applicable. Here's the reason why. And are we feeding that into our learning management? I'm giving a very simple example. And obviously you would need approval processes to update content, but I think connecting QA with LMS through AI in the future could be a real opportunity.
Nice.
Yeah.
I always get excited about these like what's coming bits because it's a lot of fun, a lot of intrigue on the horizon. Okay, I have a question. I think this is good for everyone. Like from your experience dealing with people with Leaftree coming in and they have questions, what do you see as the biggest barrier for contact centers that want to bring AI into QA?
Yeah, that would be generating trust with the agents. And that's what you want. That's what you have to achieve. And it is back to that scenario. Now I'm being monitored by a robot. So it's how would you say? So we play it back, and you're rolling the AI element in the QA shadow mode, which I think is really important. So that QA shadow mode, they're able to look at those interactions and assess them against the manual evaluators and sync up and see, is that working really well? And then if there's any questions that are not being managed by AI, you're then able to dig into it. And you might actually say, do you know what, we're going to roll in AI, and AI can answer 13 of the 15 questions, because 2 of those questions AI can't actually answer because you have to look at another system or, for whatever reason. So for those 2 questions, they're actually going to go to the QA evaluator as part of the workflow. That actually, and by the time that hits the agent, they've seen that it's gone through AI and it's gone through an evaluator and it's passed to them. We've streamlined the process. We've taken out quite a lot of the workload for the evaluator, but we're generating confidence with the agent because the accuracy. So driving that accuracy, and the agent sees that accuracy. Now you're getting buy-in. I think that's the biggest barrier that you need to break, and it's how you roll it in and drive accuracy and drive that trust with the agents. That's the success. All right.
Thank you. So Neil, I have a question about, in the Docs tab, we have that book your free AI consultation. Can you tell me a little bit more about what that actually looks like? What is an AI consultation with you guys, and how does it play out?
Yeah, like we're offering like a free 30-minute call. Get on a call with one of our specialists. And what we're really going to talk about there is kind of looking at your different, so kind of understanding your different, how your environment is set up between your calls, your web chats, your emails, your technology, what you're trying to achieve, your coverage rates, all those kind of good things, and then produce some recommendations for you based on your specific scenario of how you could move forward and how you could approach it. Yeah, and we're fairly, yeah, we can provide an output, a report for that after 30 minutes and provide that back out to you. So yeah, I think it'd be worthwhile.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, aside from that, I know we're going to wrap up here shortly, but any final thoughts, any sort of nuggets of wisdom, something that people should have in their mind as they leave this session today, or if they're excited, they want to stay in touch, they want to take some next steps, where do they go, what do they do, how do they stay in touch?
Yeah, great. I mean, if anybody wants to reach out, and we've got leaptree.com is our website. I'm on LinkedIn, Neil Young, Leaptree. And I would say, you know, it's and what we try to convey in a webinar today is that it's kind of it's every interaction is different, has a different AI model, and it's kind of taking an approach, drive trust with the agents as you roll it one process, then you look at the next. So it's not a quick. I'm always concerned AIs, you know, people want to turn it on very quickly, but it's a gradual implementation, one process at a time. And I think that's a great chance of success with the guardrails. Back to the earlier question, making sure there's human governance and there's policies rolled in to support that. Yeah, I think, yeah, it's exciting.
Awesome. Well, Neil, it's been an absolute pleasure to hear from you, to learn from you today, and to be able to pose you some of these questions. So thanks for being here.
Thanks, Mackenzie. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. All right. With that, Neil, I'm going to send you off. And with everyone out there in the audience, if you did ask a question, but we didn't get to today, it might have just been a lengthy question or something that the team wants to address offline. So don't worry, they're going to be following up with you guys and make sure you get all the information that you're looking for. Of course, feel free to reach out, as they mentioned, or check the Leaptree website if you want to get some more information. And of course, you can book that AI consultation if you want a bit more of a hands-on, full, all-encompassing look at kind of where you're at and where you could be and how you get there. So all really cool follow-ups, and excited to be a part of it. So we are going to be giving away our prize here in just a second. But aside from that, I do want to launch a quick survey. So Jordan's going to be launching that, where the chat, the docs, the Q&A section is. We just like to get a little bit of hot feedback about the session. What did you like? Did it meet your expectations? How's the platform, the tech, the moderation, all that stuff? This, again, just for us to make sure we are constantly improving and staying at the top of our game here at SmartBrief. So we'd love to get your feedback from that. Aside from that, I'm going to give away this prize. So the prize is going out to one lucky winner today, and that winner is Andrea Vonakis from Virginia. So Andrea, big congrats to you. We're going to be reaching out after today's session to let you know how you can get that $250 Amazon gift card delivered to you. We'll get it to you right away. Last bits of housekeeping. We are going to be sending a recording as a follow-up to this video. So of this webinar, the video of this webinar. So if you love this and you want to review it again, you want to share it with an industry colleague, someone else in your team or your organization, you're going to be able to do that, and you'll get that in about 24 hours after the session. And then last but not least, I just want to give a round of thank yous to everyone here today. So again, thank you to Salesforce and to Leaptree for making today's session possible. Thank you to Neil Young for sharing his expertise and his time with us, and also to all of you in the audience for making this session possible as well. Without an audience, what would we be doing up here? So great to have so many of you here asking questions in the comments section, and taking time out of your busy schedules to learn something new and stay at the top of your game as well. If you loved what you saw and you want to check out another webinar, you can go to events.smartbrief.com and see what else is coming down the pipeline. But until we see you on another session soon, I'm going to wrap it up here and wish you all an absolutely fantastic rest of your days. Take care, everybody.